I got here today. It's not my main guitar, but I'd say my second main. I actually got this guitar. It's a Fender Strat, by the way. It's a 1981 or 82 or 83 Fender Strat Stratocaster in all walnut. Beautiful guitar right here. I've actually played this. I've owned this for a couple months now. I'd say like 5 months, 6 months. And when I first got it, the guitar wasn't set up properly, so I actually went to a dude named Larry Craig or Larry Craig. Apparently he was the guitar tech, the guitar luthier for Neil Young, Carlos Santana. I actually asked him, I was like, yo, did you actually play with Neil Young, or did you like fix his guitars? And he's like, yeah, man, like, yo, I have a photo. And he showed me like a couple pictures, and I was like, oh shit, this dude's legit. That was actually my first guitar setup I've ever done in my life. I've played guitar for a couple years, but I've never done a setup. But you know, this is my first like truly like expensive guitar, so I didn't want to bring it to fucking Guitar Center, you know, have a bunch of idiots. I mean, I'm not saying they're idiots, but I feel like some of them are. Anyways, those dudes messing with this, because I didn't want them to mess with this kind of stuff. So I took it to a true pro. I drove about an hour and a half. I was like, you know what, you know, might as well. I just graduated. I have hella time. Might as well go to this dude and see how legit he is. But he set it up for me, and dude, it was a completely different instrument. I told him, I was like, yo, this was worth the fucking drive. It was kind of pricey, but whatever, dude, it was worth it. You know, some information about this guitar. This is all walnut, all original. The body is walnut, the fretboard is walnut, the headstock is walnut, even the back. Dude, look at this skunk stripe. It's like reversed. Normally, like, this would be a lighter color and the stripe would be black, but then they did a reverse version. I think it's really sick. You know, this neck, I have pretty big hands. This neck is kind of small for my taste. And at first, you know, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like this neck. But the more and more I played with it, it really grew on me. The neck is really nice. It has like a soft V neck. It's not a U or a C. You can kind of feel like a sharp, not a sharp, but somewhat sharp V. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. And another really interesting thing about this guitar is the fretboard. Normally, like, when you see fretboards on a Fender, typically like maple necks, it's like very glossy, you know. Some like it, some don't. I actually don't mind. I don't really mind too much about the fretboard, but this has no gloss. I don't even know if I'm describing it properly, but it's like literally like just wood. So you know, I've heard some people say like, oh, like it feels like kind of rough. It feels like you're playing a guitar that's straight out of the factory, that's not like finished or whatever. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology. I'm not like a guitar expert, but it feels good. I like the feeling. It feels like, dude, it just feels like you're playing a vintage guitar. But dude, I really like this guitar. I really like the matching headstock. For those of you guys who are not familiar with the Strat model, they released it in 1980 to 1983, I believe. And all the guitars have matching headstock with the body. So some have red bodies and it'll be a red color headstock. Some were like blue and then it'll be a blue headstock. Some were, I don't know. Some was like white, I think, like yellow. And I think the headstock was yellow as well. I'm not too sure with that, but this guitar to me was very interesting, and I actually really wanted this colorway because I'm a huge John Mayer fan. And a couple years back when he was promoting his Born and Raised album, he played a song called Something Like Olivia for the first time live, and he had a guitar that looked just like this, the same colorway with the same matching headstock, and I was like, dude, that guitar looks hella nice. And I did some research on it, and it was like a custom made like Stratocaster for him, so I was like, all right, there's no way I can get that same model, but this was close enough. This bridge is also pretty interesting. You don't see this type of bridge on a Strat. I think this is the only Strat with this kind of bridge. It's gold plated, or no, not gold plated. It's brass, but I'm not sure the exact details, but it was like 100 or 1,000 microns of gold plating or whatever. I'm not a gold expert, but apparently that's like the same quality that jewelers put on watches in terms of like how much gold there is. I don't know, you can do research on that, but you can see the wear. It's kind of like eroding, and you can kind of see the metal underneath the plating, but apparently Fender had to stop production on these because they were just losing too much money for each one that was made. So, you know, let's say that if this was $1,000 that they sold it for, maybe it cost, you know, 1.1 or 1.2 to make, which is not a smart, you know, business decision at all. So it makes sense why they decided to stop production. But, you know, I really like this guitar. I actually want this to be my guitar that I want to keep for like hella years and like give it to my parent, or not my parents, my kids or whatever, you know. It's just like a unique guitar that you don't really see a lot. A unique Strat. This is the volume. This is the tone control, and this is actually like a selector switch thing. I think it's called the X1 Selector, and you know, some people describe it like, oh, you know, it gives you like a warmer tone, but I think a better way to describe it is if you turn it left, so if you turn it right, it's like a standard Strat sound. If you turn it left, it's not a warmer. I guess warmer makes sense, but it's more like muddy, but not in a bad way. Muddy kind of sounds like it's not a good term for music at all, or sound, but it just sounds a little bit softer. So for example, like if you do this selector for the Strat, I think this is the what do you call it? This is the neck pickup. This is the bridge pickup. So if you do the bridge, and if you put the tone to 10 and the volume to 10, sometimes it's just too like quacky, you know, it's too like sharp for the ears. Especially like on a Telecaster, if you put the tone and max to 10, it's just like, it just sounds too like sharp, you know, it doesn't sound good to your ears. But that's why, you know, you turn the tone down. But for this, if you put the volume and tone to 10 and then you turn it left to the muddier sound, the tone is bearable, or not bearable, it sounds, you know, bearable sounds bad too, but it's more like soothing to the ears. I don't really know how to describe it, to be honest. Like for instruments and for guitars, I feel like you gotta hear it, you know, rather than someone describing you the sound. But dude, this guitar is sick. I really like it. It's just a very interesting piece of Fender history, and like I said, I'm like mainly a Fender guy, like 90% Fender guy. And it feels cool to just own a piece of history. And apparently this is the rarest model for the Strat series, the full walnut, and I got a really good deal on this. I actually traded one of my guitars, my custom shop Telly, and I gave him some cash as well, but I feel like it was a good ass deal, so I got it. Walnut Strat, 81 or 82. I think it's 81. To be honest, I don't really care about the years. As long as you're like within, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, like I don't really care. Some people are hella anal about that, like, oh, is this a 1976 or a 1976, an early 1976? I'm like, bro, do you even know how to play the guitar? Like, You're really asking people about the specifics when you can't even play properly. I'm not saying I can play properly, but I don't know, it's just my opinion. Good guitar though.